Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. This is our NFL Draft Prospect Show. I'm Harper LaBelle, along with Vincent Turner. Our producer and engineer is Logan Landers, and Vincent, as the founder and co-host of this show. Today, we get to talk about someone who has had quite an impression on college football. Didn't get to win a national championship, but boy, he put Oregon back on the map, one place that they haven't been in over a decade. And we're going to talk about quarterback Dillon Gabriel today. He's 6 feet. He's listed about 205 pounds, very impressive arm, and a guy that really knows how to put the ball in the end zone, if you know what I mean. He's just the ability to get to the receivers and change your offensive programming to the RPO edition. He's learned how to master that. What an outstanding quarterback and tremendous college career that this young man has had.
I love the young man. Hawaii 5-0 from the state of Hawaii. And he's a small guy. When they say short in stature, they say 5'11", 204. And that's the only knock on him. Let's say Harper, if he was 6'2", 6'3", he'll probably be the top quarterback in the draft. Would you disagree with me?
Yep.
And what I love about him is that he went to Central Florida. He went to Oklahoma, prestigious program. Then Oklahoma made a bad move when they wanted to take Jackson Arnold, who's a 5-star recruit, and move him out. Dan Lanning had common sense out there at Oregon, quack. And he took Dillon Gabriel and he played at a high level. And there was people last year before the season started said, well, I don't know if Dillon Gabriel can play at Oregon, but based on the fact he's following what Bo Nix did. But I'm going to tell you something about him. The only knock on they say is his size and he's short. Well, I think Drew Brees had a pretty good career. Did he not, Hart?
Hall of Famer. Yep.
Russell Wilson has won a Super Bowl. Did he not?
He won one.
Doug Flutie had a pretty decent career in the league. Did he not?
Both in America and Canada.
Fran Tarkenton had a decent career in the league. Hall of Famer, correct?
Hall of Famer. Yep. That's what I was going to say.
All these guys were considered too short to play the game. But this guy, I love him because what he's done, and he's played at 3 schools. And then this week at the Senior Bowl, in the game, which is going to be on Saturday, he's going to honor all 3 schools with decals on his helmet. This is a football player, man. Back to you, Harp.
Yeah, and don't forget Kyler Murray, who's not much bigger than a postage stamp.
Thank you.
So at 6 feet or 5'11", we're not too sure which one. And if he's wearing cleats and, regular standard cleats or the rain cleats, it doesn't matter. Let's look at some of his numbers. This past year, his completion percentage is 72. He threw for 3,800 yards, 30 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. And oh, by the way, that's the second year in a row that he's done it. In 2023, his completion percentage was 69, but he threw for 3,600 yards, and he had 30 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. His quarterback rating 2 years ago was 172.0. Accuracy, placement of ball, good velocity, excellent mechanics, puts the ball in small windows right where you need it to be. He can operate in what's called a muddy pocket. This is the first time I'd heard that. So, we're going to put that one in air quotes. I don't know what a muddy pocket is on sport turf, other than it's not a clean pocket. He's got to move around and find space to where he can get his feet set and get rid of the ball. Those are some of the things that he does well. He allows the receiver to make plays. He gets them the ball in the time that they need, where he can catch it, turn, get up the field, avoid first defender, and try to make something big happen. A lot of these things are they go with him. It works well with him. That's who he is, and that's what any scout or observer of his game film would notice. Am I missing anything?
A+ on point. On point. The thing about Mr. Gabriel is that he went from Central Florida to Oklahoma. Them 2 seasons there, 3,100 yards his first season, 25 touchdowns, only 6 INTs. Then you mentioned in 2023, Hop, when he went over, 3,600 yards, 30 touchdowns and 6 INTs. I believe he had the same stat with Oregon. What I'm looking at is the touchdown interception ratio. That's pretty good. Then what I'm looking at is this. Very confident player, but I'm going to say on Broadway. Michigan, first big game, 23 of 29, 294, 1 touchdown. Illinois, 18 of 26, 291, 3 touchdowns. Ohio State, the first game, 23 of 34, 341, 2 touchdowns. You're looking at a guy that, granted, he's short in stature at the position, but a guy, every time he's got on the big stage, he's performed at a high level. He goes to Oklahoma. I'm going to say this one more time. Think about what Oklahoma would have been if he would have been under center in their first year in the SEC. You think Oklahoma wasn't a problem. They would have been a problem. Then think about him going to Oregon, following Bo Nix, who's had an outstanding year with the Denver Broncos. It takes special players and special people to do things like that. I like the young man. I think in my opinion, he could be a late day 2 selection. When it's all said and done, I wouldn't be surprised that he has a lot of success in the National Football League. And you already mentioned 2 good things about him, Hart. He's very accurate with the football, and his ball placement is off the charts. If you had to give a grade A+. And yesterday, down at the Senior Bowl, they said that the ball didn't hit the ground when he went through his reps before 32 NFL teams. Back to you, Mr. Harper LaBelle.
Yeah, there's some great things that he does. And if you're going to compare him to Drew Brees, one of the things that Drew did, his accuracy was off the chain. He would put a ball where only his guy would be able to catch it. And you're seeing signs of this. What you told me about his practice yesterday at the Senior Bowl indicates that same type of accuracy. And that's incredibly important. You're going to put the ball in your guys' hands, and it's going to be up to them. Now, I would say, Vincent, correct me if I'm wrong, that his performance against Ohio State to get them eliminated after getting a first-round bye and really being the number 1 team in the country, it could have hurt him. But I think if we're going to be realistic, let the whole team suffered. There wasn't any portion of Oregon's team that excelled and would make Dillon Gabriel look like it was his fault. He would put the ball in somebody's hand and they drop it. Or he was getting pushed around in the pocket. His offensive line didn't do a great job of protecting him. So there's some things that are around him. Am I wrong? I mean, that game could hurt him. But I think if you're going to be, if you're going to blame him for one game, it's not incredibly difficult to say that he wasn't the problem there. Ohio State's roster was the problem.
Well, he didn't give up 41 points in that game, right?
He wasn't on the field for a single one of them, was he?
He didn't get sacked 7 to 8 times. Obviously, his offensive line didn't play well. And when you look at it, now I'm not a scout. I'm just a fan and a person that's talking NFL draft prospects with very talented yourself, Mr. LaBelle. But I would not hold that one game against him. I look at his whole resume. Oklahoma, he played at a high level. Oregon, he played at a high level. He played well in big games. And I tell you what, Harper, my final comment today, this guy's going to be a football player at the next level because he can really throw the football and he's accurate. Go ask the Oklahoma fans what they think about Dillon Gabriel and what he would have meant if he would have been under center for the Sooners this year. Back to you, Mr. Harper LaBelle.
Yeah. And if you're going to say, well, that one game hurt me, well, let's go back 6 or 7 weeks. And when they beat Ohio State, Oregon did. Granted, it was in Eugene, but are you going to use that as a neutralizer for that bad game? So his numbers speak for themselves. He's done some great things. We admit that. What are some of his weaknesses? Obviously, the first and foremost is his size. He's not as big as what you would anticipate needing at the NFL level. But we've already mentioned a few guys, and Taylor Heinicke is another guy that's just barely over 6 feet tall. He's smart, knows what to do, knows where to get the ball. So if you just give him some time, he has an opportunity to make some big plays for you. The deep ball trajectory. If he's on the left hash, for him to throw to the right side of the field and to get it outside between the numbers and the hash mark, there's a weakness there. So his arm strength is something in long, deeper throws that is an issue. It takes time, and in the NFL, cornerbacks will get in the way. They'll either deflect that ball, defend against it, prevent your wide receiver from obviously getting to it or pick it off. That might be a problem. He can be late on some occasions with some of the throws that he makes in terms of his decision making, and that allows for a cornerback or somebody, a linebacker, let's say, to step into the way and interfere with the pass, which means that sometimes he stares a little bit too long at one receiver. Every quarterback has been guilty of that. He's going to need to learn to move his eyes around. There are training methods that he will be able to go through, with just a GoPro. And some of the pro technology that's available right now between now and draft day that he can work on to show that he's making progression in that area. So a couple of things to work on, but in terms of being the number one quarterback for the number one team in the country, for being one of those guys that prior to the season, he's been a Manning Award finalist. He's won all kinds of accolades at different levels. Vincent, this guy does have talent. I think the only thing, if you can get over the fact that he's only maybe 6 feet, 5'11" 3/4, you're going to get him either in late second round or maybe third or fourth round, and he'll be a steal for you.
I think you're going to get a quality football player. I always judge your resume. He's played at 3 schools, and he's had great seasons at all 3 schools. Started at Central Florida under Scott Frost. Then he goes to OU. Goes well there, ends up at Oregon, does well there. His team is ranked number 1 throughout the country. What more do you want? The guy's a winner. Granted, we might look at his size a little bit, but when I look at it, same question marks about Drew Brees when he came out of Purdue. Same question marks about Russell Wilson when he was at North Carolina State and Wisconsin. All I can say is this: Super Bowl champions, class of elite.
Yep.
This gentleman right here is very accurate with the football, and he's a special player. It's a lot of players can't lead a number 1 team in the country and be accurate with the football. I'm sorry. That doesn't happen. This gentleman right here is going to be a big-time football player given a chance on the next level. Back to you, Mr. Harper LaBelle.
Yeah, we're going to just see what happens with him. He's going to get a chance. I think once he gets into camp, he's going to show everybody that he not only understands now an RPO offense, which not a whole lot of teams do. They do some of that, but obviously you're going to protect your quarterback. You're not going to let him run a lot. But his ability to run that type of an offense will be a great plus, especially in the preseason where you're going to have a couple of guys that are going to try some things. I don't know if he's going to be a backup, but I think he could be the guy that if the number 1 guy gets hurt, like, for example, what happened in Minnesota, Sam Darnold, right place, right time. J.J. McCarthy goes into camp, is going to be the guy. We're going to ride this rookie. He gets hurt, and next thing you know, Sam has an outstanding year. So don't know what the final projection is going to be. I think it'll be more of a fit. So that's why maybe not a second or a third rounder, but he might drop into the 4th where that team that was, I'm not going to give a draft pick to the very specific offense that we run that he would fit well in, but I will eventually get him 5th or 6th rounder. I hope it doesn't go into the 5th, but it might. But either way, Dillon Gabriel will have a chance to show what he did in college and to repeat it, replicate it, and make it look just as nice, put a bow on it in the National Football League. So for Vincent Turner, our producer and engineer is Logan Landers. I'm Harper LaBelle. I want to say thank you for tuning in to 100 Yards of Football. This is our NFL Draft Prospect Show. We appreciate you being a part of it. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.